Hi folks, John with the Wingman115 channel. Thank you so much for checking in today. I'm out here in my backcountry playground today bringing you a knife review of a much anticipated blade here on the channel. Now, if you follow along on the channel, earlier in 2015 I had a chance to go to SHOT Show and I interviewed Joe Flowers over at the Condor booth, and he introduced this knife. It is the Matt Graham primitive bush knife. Now this knife has created a ton of buzz on the internet. So I saw a deal on it on the internet. I pulled the trigger. I purchased it. I said, why not? We'll bring it over to the channel and I'll test it out for you and we'll see if it lives up to the hype. So first things first, as always, I'm going to cut away. We'll go to a quick tabletop specs rundown and then I'll do some tasks with this blade. And as always, I'll come back and give you some final thoughts and a rating on the Matt Graham primitive bush knife. You're not going to want to miss this one, folks. Come along. Let's do some feather sticks with this. Before I do it, I'm going to point out you're going to want to use maybe a 3/4 inch relief when you start, because look at the bottom of the blade, the way it was ground. Now, you got to understand this is from a factory that makes a lot of machetes, so they may have done this up kind of like a machete grind. I'm not sure. I'll have to get some information on that. But you've lost 3/4 of an inch of your cutting edge right there. I would have liked to seen that been sharp all the way. But let's see how this is going to work in regards to making feather sticks. Now they say this is a scanty grind, but it's a real steep scanty grind. But it's making curls all right. And with a little practice with this blade, I'm sure one would get really good at it. Now this is the knife right out of the box. I haven't done any touch-ups to this blade or anything. What you see and how this knife works is just how it was when I took it out of the package. So with a little bit of practice, finding the sweet spot on that blade, I mean, nice paper thin curls. That's not bad. Of course, that's with dried pine, so you're gonna have to practice with whatever wood you have in your area. But let's look at like carving, because this knife might be called on to do a lot of different things. Now, one thing I did notice, and I'm going to point up real quick, is that this edge is pointed, but it has a false edge on top. And I think they did that to give it a little bit of extra strength in that blade tip. And I by no means make fireboards, but if one was to make a fireboard, I mean, it does a great job. And that top edge is a 90-degree sharp spine, so it's almost like an awl like you would get on your Leatherman. So it makes nice quick work for making bow drill divots. If you got to make a hole in something, you're doing a project, maybe a mortise and tenon spot, who knows what you would be required to use this knife for. But I like the fact that the point is center line with the handle, so everything's nice and straight. And I'm going to get a lot of folks ask, John, why is there a hole in the center of the blade? That is the Condor trademark that they put in some of their blades. I'm going to do a quick chop test. This is about maybe a 3.5 inch piece of pine. See how well this does. I'm finding that the knife wants to slip out of my hand. All right. All right, without further ado, let's get this party started. Now, I don't advocate doing this to your blades. The only reason that I do this is for a knife review. A lot of people have questions about the heat treat on this blade, about the Rockwell. Well, we're gonna find out real quick. I weigh 195 pounds, and we're gonna stand on this. All right, now I'm gonna pull this out. I'm gonna show you this blade. That 420 high carbon steel held up. I can feel a lot of forward weight on this blade, so you know it's going to be a good chopper. We'll see how well the back of the spine scrapes. Oh yeah. Just taking that bark right off. Just making fine dust. Trying to start a fire, you're doing some sort of bushcraft project. Trying to smooth something out. That spine is just really sharp and aggressive. Now for some final thoughts on this Condor primitive bush tool. First off, come up close so we can talk. You know that I like unique profile blades, and this one certainly fits the bill. But there's a few things that need to be addressed with this blade. One being, they need to have the cutting edge come all the way down to where the profile of the blade starts. You've rendered about 3/4 of an inch of this blade, in my humble opinion, utterly useless. I wouldn't strike a ferro rod on that. You got the 90-degree spine, so I don't understand that. Maybe somebody can school me on that. It may lead to their machete roots. I don't know. But you would think that that cutting edge would go all the way to where the blade profile starts. Just putting it out there. It might be something that I'm going to fix on my workshop, and I'll do a follow-up video if I do. Second, I like the hardwood handles, and I believe that it's walnut, but as I was chopping, I'm sure you could see that the blade, as I was swinging the blade was sliding. No matter how hard I held my grip on that until I got down to about here, then I stopped and I would choke back up. Well, that tells me that we need a little more palm swell. Maybe we need a different handle material, maybe liniment micarta. And I understand the reason why they went with that, because it's a primitive bush knife. and you want to stick with that look and the motif and the Matt Graham thing and, you know, wah, wah, wah. But if you're going to make this knife into a great bush knife, there's going to need to be a little more palm swell. And you might even thin this out a little bit. That way I have a better grip on that blade, because my index finger only has so much room to choke up around that. And then the palm of your hand, maybe people with bigger hands might find it easier, but medium-sized hands, you're probably going to have an issue. So that's going to be definitely a constraint. A lot of folks are wondering about 420 high carbon stainless steel. Well, I put that myth to rest. I pounded it into that tree, and that's a testament to their heat treat. Nice and true and straight. Everybody asks about the eye. That is the eye of the Condor. It has no other purpose on the blade other than that's their trademark. So there's no secret handshake, no rock, paper, scissors. That's just what Condor does. It's the eye of the Condor. So, let's talk about the sheath. I almost went right to a rating without talking about the sheath. I love the design of the sheath, but, and there's a big question mark with but in there, because I always think of things in regards to, let's dumb it down to lowest common denominator. And if I was in a stressful situation, is there a possibility that I could get hurt? And yes, I love this sheath, but I think Matt Graham's is a hell of a lot looser than this. And maybe over time, this might loosen up. But pulling this blade out, you see how hard it comes out. So it's not going to fall out, okay? It's in there. But pulling it out is so hard, and I'm just worried that people are going to wind up cutting themselves, their fingers, their palm, real bad, because right up here at the neck of this sheath, it's just so tight around there that somebody's going to grip it. You're in a hurry, you're pulling hard, and then maybe your hand's up here, whatever, and you're going to cut yourself really bad. So folks, please be careful about that. What I was thinking about doing, and I talked to a good friend online, we were Skype talking, is maybe I'll wet this down a little bit and maybe re-wet form it, because all you got to do is oval it out a little bit, and then I'm not going to say problem solved, but it would fix probably half of that problem. So I'm going to try maybe to do a little wet forming, just ever so lightly get it wet to where it's malleable, and then redo it and maybe press it down more into an oval. So safety concern there, blade issue there, and the handle issue. If I had to rate this knife on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being thumbs down, 5 being super thumbs up, right now I got to rate this 3.5 stars with the blade, the handle, and the safety concern of this sheath. 3.5 stars. If you fix these 3 things, this is a 5-star blade. I like old school, just crazy, unique design blades, and this fits the bill. I know that Matt Graham took another blade and then ground it down, and then Condor worked with him to kind of get that idea. That's cool. No matter how you come up with the idea, who cares? As long as the end result to the end user, it comes out where it's functional. I think if they fix these 3 things, then you got a 5-star blade. Right now, 3.5 stars. So this is John with the Wingman115 channel. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video, folks. Take care.